Well, hello there, friends and family, and we're back in the kitchen. And what are we up to today? Well, today what we're going to be doing is showing you how to revive your old dry beans. And the reason I'm doing this video is because there was a comment left by one of my subscribers, Raven. And let me just read it to you. Raven commented that they just checked my beans. Too old, won't soften. I'm about to give up. Now this comment was left on the previous video, Preventing Personal Impact Event Food Security Part 3, where we discussed one of our main choices when we all started food storage, and that was storing up dry beans. And like I said in that video, at some point in time, the beans get so old, they just won't soak up water anymore, and they won't soften. But after Raven sent me the comment, I got to thinking. And I'm old, and I'd forgotten about something that I was told, oh God, back in the mid-80s. But what I told them to do was try pressure cooking. Now, cooking them in a pressure cooker will work depending on the age of the beans. But even at some point, even pressure cooking won't do anything to get them to soften. And that's what made me remember something I was told by a group. Well, actually it was by the bishop of the LDS Church. And if you're not familiar with the LDS Church, that's the Church of Latter-day Saints, more commonly known as the Mormons. And the Mormons definitely believe and teach food storage as part of their belief system. And they teach their people to try and keep up at least 1 year of food storage, for the same reasons I've mentioned. Job loss, illness, natural disaster, and what have you. So, what I'm going to be showing you during this video is just how I was told how to revive old dry beans when they get so old they just won't soak up any water anymore. Now we're going to start with the standard basic method of how you soak your beans when they're fairly new. And then I'll show you that these beans definitely didn't soften. So let's go over and take a look at these beans right now. I found them way back in the back of my pantry. Got hidden away. So let's go over and check them out. So y'all, we're over here at the counter, and what we have here is a bag of Best Yet Great Northern beans. And we've been putting them in this stainless steel bowl, sorting through them. Take out discolored ones. Check for rocks. So let's take a look at how old they are. And I hope the camera will pick this up. See right here? These beans have a best buy date of the 2nd of August 2011. Now think about that. These dried beans are 8 years old. So we're going to do like normal. And they have the basic cooking instructions on them right here. And I'll just read them to you. You know, soak 2 cups of Great Northern beans overnight in 6 cups of water. So that's how we're going to start off. And then we're going to come back tomorrow at the same time. It's 1:16 in the early afternoon now. And we'll come back tomorrow and we'll take a look at them, test them, and see if they softened any. So let me get to doing that. And I'll set the camera up so you can watch me. So like I said, these are Great Northern beans from 2011. And I'm just going to pour them in my hand a little bit at a time. Sort through them. Checking for any discolored beans. Got one there that doesn't look too healthy. Hopefully I won't be eating any rocks. Rocks are hard on the teeth, folks. There's another one. Sort of off color. That one there don't look too healthy. And there you go. We got them all sorted up. So now what we're going to do, and a pound of beans is approximately 2 cups dried beans, by the way. So we're going to add in 6 cups of water. There's 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. And 6. So there you have it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to let these soak overnight. In fact, actually we're going to let them soak for 24 hours. And we'll come back tomorrow and we'll test them to see if indeed they soaked up any water at all, or if they're still as hard as a rock. Because trust me, they are. So, we'll see y'all tomorrow. So y'all, we're back. It's the next day, through the magic of YouTube. And we've had these beans soaking 24 hours. And you can see it right there, hopefully. It's now 1:16. And if you remember, that's when we started soaking these beans yesterday. Now we do have a pan of water, pot, getting ready to boil here. And that's important for the next step of this process. So we've got the not green beans, excuse me, got dried beans. These are Great Northern dried beans. And if you remember, and we covered them with plastic wrap while they were soaking. Now if you remember, these had a best by date of August the 2nd, 2011. Now granted, they were older than that. I'm not sure how much older. Don't remember when I bought them. That was a long time ago. So we're going to take some of these out and we're going to see if they've softened any. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of these Great Northern beans out, and we're going to put them on this saucer. And we're going to see if indeed they've softened up any. And we got them right there. We'll just put that spoon back in there. We're going to take a fork. We're going to try to mash them some. And yep, we can mash them. They're still pretty darn hard. As you can see, that one, I'm pressing down on it just about as hard as I can, and it did finally break up a little bit. So they're not as soft as I'd like after 24 hours of soaking. So now, I'm going to take one of these out, and I'm going to stick it in an old mouth and see what it feels like when I chew it up. So, we're going to take one right now, get it in a spoon here, and we're going to stick it in our mouth and see just what it bites like. Yep, it's pretty crunchy. So that being the case, we're going to take it to the next step. And it's important you follow this procedure exactly. Now, there was no salt in this water that we had them soaking in. Now, like I said earlier, we got a pot of water over here. And we got it on the stove getting it up to heat. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring this up to a boil. Now, do not put the beans in it and heat the water up to a boil. It's very important that you get the water boiling first. I can't emphasize that enough. And the reason being, when the LDS were testing different methods of how to revive old dry beans, they found that if you put them in first and brought the water and the beans up to boiling, it didn't release an enzyme that's in the beans. So then they tried it by getting the water boiling first, then dumping the beans in. And that indeed released an enzyme that would allow the beans to soften. So we're going to follow those exact instructions ourselves today. So let's get this water boiling, and we'll come right back. Okay, we're back now. And now we got that water on a rolling boil. And that's important. You want to get it nice and boiling, okay? And what we've done next is we've rinsed and drained those dried northern beans. We're going to bring them over here. And the time is 1:35. And that's important to note. We're going to take these rinsed dried beans we've got right here. We're just going to dump them on in that pot right now. Okay? I'm dumped in there. We'll take the remaining ones that was in the pot. We're going to dump them in too. Now, what I'd like to add is we need to get this water back up to boiling, because it's actually boiling for 2 minutes. I had to look over my notes. So we're going to let them come up to a boil. And once they do, we're going to let them boil for 2 minutes. I almost forgot that. And once they get boiling, we'll come back to the next step in this process. Okay, y'all, as you can plainly see, the pot has come to a boil. So we're going to set the timer for 2 minutes, okay? We got it set for 2 minutes. We're just going to let it boil for those 2 minutes. You can see it right here. Of course, we may have to turn that heat down a little bit, because we don't want it to boil over. Plenty of foam there. You can plainly see that's at a rolling boil. Now once they finish the 2 minutes of boiling, we'll go on to the next step. And I know this looks like a long process, but let's say you're like Raven and you got a whole bunch of old beans that were put up, and you take them out and you try to get them to soften, and they just won't. And what are you faced with? Well, you're faced with one of 2 options. You can go ahead and put them in the compost pile, compost them, which will reward your garden. Or, like I've told you before, you can grind them up for bean flour or make refries out of them. But we're going to turn this into a luscious bean dish, just like we had intended when we first put them back. Only a few seconds more now, and that timer should be going off. There we have it. That's 2 minutes at a rolling boil. We'll shut that timer off. And now we're going to go ahead and turn the heat off and proceed with the next step. And what we got here is a teaspoon. And we got some pure baking soda, Arm & Hammer, but it doesn't matter about what kind. What we're going to do is we're going to put in 1 teaspoonful, and hopefully we can get another teaspoonful out. And right now, it doesn't matter if you put a little bit extra in, because the older the beans are, they take it anyway. So there we go. We got 2 teaspoons in. That's something to understand. The older the beans, they may take a little bit more. But we're going to go with the method that the LDS come up with, and we're going to put in the 2 teaspoons. And now what we do is we're going to let these soak. So what we need to do now is let these soak for at least an hour or more. You can let them soak for more if you want. But they've got that baking soda in there. And we're going to take some foil, because I can't find my lid for this pot. And we're going to cover this pot up and let it soak for an hour. And then we'll come back and check and see how soft they are then. Okay? So I got some foil. Now I'm just going to cover these up nice and tight. And we're going to come back in an hour. The time, if you can see it, is 1:45. And we'll be back. Okay, we're back. And you can see, timer's going off. We'll shut it off. We've had these beans soaking for 1 hour, covered. Right here. Here they are. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get a saucer again, fork, and see if they've softened up some more. So, we got us a saucer there and our fork. And we're going to take a few of these. Got one there. Plop it down. Yeah, we'll get a few more right there. We'll plop them down. Now we're going to take this fork. We're going to do just like last time. We're going to mash them. You see right there? That one got away from us. A little bit hard. But you can see And they're mashing. And some of them slid out from under us there. There's the result. But let's try a couple. Put them in the old mouth here. And see if indeed they softened up enough to continue. So here we have it. We got one right here. We're going to stick it in the old mouth. See how chewy it is. Well, it's not crunchy. It's not as soft as I'd like it. But I think it's enough where we can go to the next step in the process, where we're going to start putting a pot of beans together and cook them up for fine dish beans. And that's going to start first by getting these beans all rinsed off and put back in the pot. So stay tuned. So we're over here at the sink now, and we're going to drain these beans. You can see they're still plenty hot. See that steam coming up? And there we have it. We got most of them out of there. We'll let that drain a second. Went over and got a spoon. I don't know about you, but I'm sort of avid about getting everything out of the pot. And there we have it. Pot's empty. Beans are sitting in there dry. Now what we're going to do is get all of our other ingredients together to make a fine pot of beans. And we'll be back. Now for the next part of this, since the beans are now softened enough to use, we're going to start putting together a nice pot of seasoned and flavored Southern style beans. And what we're going to have here, we've got to have something to season them. What we got here is some smoked pork hocks. And these are from Royal, an Alabama company. These have already been smoked. We're going to be using them to give us the meat flavor. And then what we've got is one about medium to large onion. We're going to be using about 4 to 6 cloves of garlic. Oh, about 3 or 4 stalks celery there. Some black pepper, oregano, basil, salt of course, and some chicken bouillon. Now if you want to use chicken stock, whether it's your own or store-bought, you go right ahead. I don't have none right at the moment. Now, just so I don't bore you, I'm going to go ahead and get all this cut up, and we'll proceed to getting these beans put together and getting them on cooking. Stay with us. Okay y'all, we're back. And we got everything chopped up. We got that one medium to large onion, coarsely chopped. We got 3 stalks celery, coarsely chopped. Now, you can chop these whatever way you want. Fine, medium, whatever. And we've got 4 cloves of garlic there chopped up. Now, this is what I'm going to say about the garlic. Please, please don't use the jarred garlic. Go ahead and buy some cloves, chop them up yourself. Only takes a minute or 2. If you ever do it, you'll never go back. Now, we've got some olive oil. We're going to have to take some olive oil right here. We're going to have to bring it on over to this pot. We're going to put us in about 1, 2 tablespoons, okay? Not that much. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get that pot heated on up. And once we got this pot heated on up, we'll start adding some ingredients. Okay, we've heated up that pot on medium heat. That's 5 on my gas stove. I don't know what that'd be on your stove, but medium heat, okay? Now what we're going to do, we're going to take this nice fine plate of onions. We're going to dump them on in there. We're going to saute them a few minutes. Can you hear the sizzle? We're just going to break up those onions some where we chopped them on up. You can hear them sizzling right now. That's olive oil. We're going to let them get a little color on it. And then we're going to start dumping in the other ingredients. Next to be the garlic. Now, there's one thing about garlic. You don't want to cook it too much. It'll turn bitter on you. So let's let these onions saute and brown a bit. And we'll start putting in that garlic. Now, we've had that onion in there for about 5 minutes. Just starting to get a little color on it. Let me show you. I don't know if the camera can pick it up there, but you can see it's just starting to get brown. It's translucent. So now we're going to be adding in the garlic, okay? Now one thing about garlic, you don't want to cook it too long or it'll get bitter on you. So, we got our diced up garlic right here. We're going to put that on in there with the onions and the oil. And there we have it. Give it a quick stir. Now, we're only going to leave that in there about 3 minutes. We don't want it to burn on us. Okay? Okay. We've had that garlic in there about 3 minutes. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and throw in that celery. We got it right here. Just drop in that celery real quick. And we're going to give it a nice stir. And this is what it looks like now. You can see the onions brown some. Celery's on in there. Now we got to add some water. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to first add 6 cups of water. Now I'd like to mention here again, this is filtered water, okay? And that's 1 cup right there. Right there, 1 cup. Now we'll get 5 more. And now here's the 6th cup. We didn't bore you with showing you putting every cup of them in there. I think you can see now at what level it's at. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add the dried bean, or not dried beans, the beans we've had soaking, went through our process that we've used to revitalize them. So let me go get those beans. So here's our Great Northern beans that we put through the process, soften them up, and we just dump them on in there. Give them a quick stir. Okay. Looking good. Now we're ready to add the bouillon cubes. Now we'll be adding 6 bouillon cubes. These are chicken bouillon cubes right here. And you don't have to use, instead of using the water, you could have used 6 cups of chicken stock, beef stock, or you can even use beef bouillon if you want. If you can find some of that ham bouillon, all the better. Hard to come by around here. So we got that on in there. And now we're ready for the last ingredient before we start covering this. And we'll bring it to a quick boil. And then we're going to be simmering it for 2 hours. Okay? So let me get out that last ingredient that we're going to be putting in right now for flavoring. So now we got these nice, fine, royal smoked ham hocks. And we're just going to be setting them on down in there at the bottom of that pan. Right like that. Just place them on in there. Work them down to the bottom, just like that. Ooh, I'm telling you. That's going to be hoo-yah good when it's done. And of course, at the end of cooking time, we'll be taking those ham hocks out and removing the fat, but we'll also shred up that meat and add them back to the beans. So don't worry, folks. We're not going to leave all that fat in there. Now, it's at this time that you want to add your seasoning. Final step before we bring it up to a boil. Okay? Now remember, the bouillon cubes have salt in them, and so do those smoked ham hocks. So for now, we're just going to put in a heaping teaspoon of salt. Remember, you can always put more in at the end, but you can't take it out. But next, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting in a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. Now, if you don't like pepper, don't put that much in it. I do. With that, we're going to put in a teaspoon of basil. Right here, basil leaves. Just plop them in there. And we're going to be putting in a teaspoon of oregano. Now, one thing I left off when I was going over the seasoning on all this, since these are indeed southern beans, is I put one more thing in here. Well, that all depends on whether my kids are here and my grandson. Now, if I'm just making them for myself, I put this in. If I don't, I just use this to season it once it's cooked and boiled up. And that's my secret weapon. Slap your mama. Cajun seasoning. From Bill La Platte, Louisiana. This stuff is just, ooh yeah, it's good. Trust me. You need to try it. And we're going to put in, since it's just me here these days, I'm going to put in about a level teaspoon of that too. And that's it. They're ready to bring up to a quick boil. We're going to increase the heat there. Give that little spoon a little wash off. Once it reaches a boil, we're going to turn it back and let it simmer covered for 2 hours. Now, by some miracle, we were able to dig around in our kitchen cabinets and come up with the lid for this pot. You know, I said I couldn't find it, but I did finally. And you can see we've got that pot of beans boiling. So now what we're going to do is turn that down to a simmer. And on my stove, that's about 1.5 to 2. And we're going to put the lid back on it, right there. And we're going to set the timer 2 hours. And we're going to leave it alone. When this timer comes off, starts beeping and driving us crazy, we'll come back and see how these beans are doing. Might have to cook them a little bit more, but I'd rather check them at 2 hours than wait longer. Okay, y'all, timer's going off. We'll shut that noisy thing on off. And as you know, we've had these on a simmer. Now that's a high simmer, maybe you'd think a low boil, for 2 hours. Now what we're going to do, we're going to get some of these out. We're going to put them back on the saucer, use a fork, and see how they've softened. They look like they're ready. But hold on, let me set the camera up and we'll see what they look like. So we got a saucer. We got some of them beans right there. Went and got a fork right here. Now we're going to take them. We're going to mash them. Oh yeah. Here, let me bring you up a little bit closer so you can see this. Right here. Maybe y'all can see. They mash right up now. So, there you have it. Now what I got to do to get this all ready to eat, I've got to go ahead and fish out these ham hocks and debone them. Then I'm going to shred this meat back up and get it back in the pot. And then we'll dish up a nice fine bowl of these. And we went ahead and got us a dish of cornbread here. You gotta have cornbread with your beans, right? And we'll come back. We'll see you then. Now we went ahead and fished those ham hocks on out of those beans. But if you can see it, there's a lot of steam coming off them right now. So we're gonna have to let them cool down a bit before we can go ahead and strip them down, get all the meat off them, put them back in with the beans. Once we do, we'll stick them back in that pot of beans, stir it all up, and we're going to dish us up a bowl of nice fine southern beans with ham hocks. And I wish y'all could smell the kitchen right now. It smells so fine. Nothing like it. Well, we got those ham hocks stripped. Now if you're not familiar with smoked ham hocks or just ham hocks in general, you saw how big they were. Now, you'd think there'd be a lot of meat. Well, there is a lot of fat and a lot of bone, as you can see right here. And this is the meat we got off them. I'm going to tell you one thing. That's some of the finest meat you'll ever eat. Deep, rich, smoky flavor. And we're going to add these back on in the beans in the pot. And then we're going to dish this up a bowl. Get us a nice slice or two of that cornbread right there too. So now what we've done, we've got that meat mixed on back in there. You can see it right there. Good old ham hocks. And now we gotta serve it up in a bowl. We got a bowl here. Now, pardon me. Look at that. Ooh, doggy. I'm gonna put a ladle of that in there. We're gonna get one more. I'm telling you, this is gonna be fine. Put our lid on there. Cover it up a little bit. And there we are. We got a nice fine bowl. Right there, those nice fine beans. We'll put it there. So we gotta go ahead and get us a slice or two of this cornbread. So there we have it. Got us a couple pieces of cornbread there. And we'll probably take another one and crumble it up on top of these beans. I'm gonna tell you, the smell is just exotic. So y'all, hope you liked the video. If you do, hope you give us a big thumbs up and share it with all your friends and family. And I hope this helps you in saving your old dried beans so you won't be throwing them away in the future. Anyway, let me know. And let me show you one other thing while I'm thinking about it. Now, it's dark in here in the dining room right now, but I had sitting on standby my Instapot. That's a pressure cooker. Had this method not worked to my satisfaction, I was definitely going to use it. But that'd be a whole nother video, and maybe we'll do one on it at a later time. So y'all, until I see you on the next video, y'all take care, stay safe out there, and God bless each and every one of you. Goodbye for now. I got some fine beans and ham hocks to eat later on.